Hello everyone. Shivananda Sharma Memorial RV College, Video Lectures and ISR Initiative. SSMRV College is one of the premier institutions run by the prestigious RV group of institutions has come up with this unique initiative to engage students at the time of this unforeseen medical emergency caused by corona outbreak. As a socially responsible institution, we would like to connect academically with students to make good the losses caused. In this connection, I, Lavanya BK of Department of Business Administration, has posted a video on the subject organizational behavior and the topic transactional analysis and Johari window. Please watch the video till the end and like, share with your peer groups and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. This video is the extension of your chapter group dynamics. Under that, these two topics were kept at the end, which I felt like doing it separately, and that's why we are here in this video. So let us understand the first one. There are only two topics, that is transaction analysis and Johari window. Let us go with the transactional analysis first. In the first slide, the transaction analysis is a theory basically that deals with psychology of human beings, which is introduced by Eric Berne in 1960s. So this is the starting point of transaction analysis. That's where it all began in 1960s. So let us understand what the transaction in transactional analysis is meant for. So transaction here, it's not the mere transaction that we deal with money and goods and everything, but transaction here under this analysis and this theory talks about the conversation and interaction. Conversation or interaction, it's nothing but communication. When there are two individuals, when there are two human beings, it can be more as well, but in order to have communication or interaction or conversation, you gotta have another person with you. You can share ideas, you can share feelings, you can confess anything. Basically, it's like you talk, at the same time you receive something back. It's like give and take. So when you want to clear doubts, when you want to gain knowledge, when you want to relieve yourself from few things that are actually holding you back, the best way is to just to speak up. When you speak up, you gotta have somebody to listen to, and that's where this whole platform or whole idea of conversation or interaction comes into picture. So when we say transactional analysis, a theory that is based on human interactions or human conversation or communication is the main ingredient of transactional analysis. And in the transaction analysis, basically it concentrates on that one particular question, a question called why. It talks about why we think in certain ways, why we act in certain ways, why we feel in certain ways. See, every day there can be a lot of things that are happening to us. Every day there are a lot of things that catch our attention. There can be a lot of things that just sneak away, not even wanting to have our attention to be paid on it. So yet there are a lot of thinking process happen on a day. There are a lot of ideas that can be generated. There are a lot of actions that can be done from our end, and there can be a lot of feeling of things can be felt. So these are not in the hands of the person who goes through this thinking, acting and feeling, but it is something that is beyond our ability to control, and it's a human nature to think and act and to feel. Yet we, as human beings, we have this clarified notions on thinking, acting and feeling. We make sure that we conduct ourselves as human beings. There can be a supernatural idea that is coming up, yet we make sure that we project it in a way that is reachable. We feel like acting maniac, but we can't because our society can't accept it. So we have to keep our sanity into control, and we have to act as a human being. There we have to act as somebody who is sane. So I feel different feelings for different things, but I can't showcase all my feelings because few of the feelings might not be acceptable. So there is some territory that I have to acknowledge and be inside there. So whether it is thinking or acting or feeling, there is this certain territory within which I can act, do and go on. So when we talk about this territory, there comes this certainty. Like, we certainly act this way, we certainly believe this way, we certainly feel this way. I mean to say, we become kind of conditioned as to what to pick and how to do, how to act and everything. So in this transaction analysis, it just talks about why somebody talks, acts or believes in a particular way, like a conditioned way, and how this conversations or interactions between two people preferably will have an impact on the other person, or it can be having an impact on each of them. So this transaction analysis at the later stage, it's split down into two things. Okay, so transaction analysis, it's about the conversations, interaction that you can possibly have with the people of your close circle. Close circle means your family, friends, your peer groups, your colleagues, and people that you have got acquainted with, not strangers. Yet transaction analysis can also be dealt or seen when you talk to strangers, when you converse with somebody that you've never known before but trying to get acquainted with. So it concentrates on the conversation that you have with your close circle, and the second part of the transaction analysis concentrates on the triggering points. Like there can be few conversations, there can be few talks or confessions that will lead to negative outputs. Can be conflicts, it can be misunderstandings, but basically triggering points that will make us to express our emotions or feelings through words, and to some extent we become fierce. So there can be this triggering points acting there. So you have conversation on one side, you have this triggering points on the other side, which make up the whole transaction under transaction analysis. And let's move to the second slide, where the principles of transactional analysis are mentioned. There are basically three principles of transactional analysis. The first principle is we all have three ego states in us. When we say we all have, as an individual, I have three ego states. As an individual, you have three ego states, and these three ego states are not differentiated through caste, creed, race, or finance. Nothing comes into the picture. As long as you've taken a birth in the form of human being and you've been nurtured by a family, you've been taken care by the society, and you're a human being, it's very common that all of us have these three layers of ego which has been built inside us without a consciousness. So that is a parent ego state, adult ego state, and child ego state. A parent ego state is that ego state that you deliberately, slowly, intentionally or unintentionally, you get inspired from your parents. Your parents are they become the role models. They become somebody who teaches you how life must be led. They are the ones who nurture values, virtues in you. So if there is such kind of ego state or values, feelings, attitudes or behavioral things or traits, if you build and your parents have influenced you or taught you about those attitudes or feelings or believing factors, that state is called as parent ego state, something that is rooted in your past. Okay. And adult ego state, it's your own ability to think and process in a certain way. Of course, you've learnt values, virtues, culture and everything from your parent, but as an individual, you must have your ability to think and take decisions according to your own experience. So in that case, you take that adult ego state into context. And the third ego state is the child ego state, which talks about your own personal experiences and encounters that you had when you were a child. So during that tender age or childhood, if there is any such experiences or any such things that happened with you and that have a remarkable impact on the way that you feel at or have an attitude or behavior, that is your child ego state. So each one of us as individuals, we have these three layers of ego states, and that is one of the principles of transactional analysis. And the second one, we all have transactions with other people or internally with ourselves as well. As I told, transaction in the transaction analysis is all about the interaction and communication that you can possibly make you with the other person. And sometimes it's not just you should have somebody to talk to. Sometimes you can just talk to yourself, and there is no wrong in it. I think each one of us, we do it, right? So if there is something, you're going through a trauma, you're going through a lot of unfathomable things, you're totally confused, and you don't want to have anybody, but still you want somebody to listen to your problems, it's better that you talk to yourself. Like self-talking, self-discovering, it's a part and parcel of our life. So transactional analysis believes it's not just you talk to another individual, another human being, it's also part of the transactional analysis that you talk to yourself, that you converse with yourself. So that's the second principle. And the third principle is we all unconsciously activate our transactions, and which will lead to, as I told previously, the negative triggers, they make us get into this conflicts, misunderstandings, because heat of the conversation, heat of the moment can make you become a lot fierce, that can make you lose your sanity, that can make you become a maniac person. So these things which actually get a negative vibe out of you, and that can be resulted through conflict or negative emotions or any sort of trauma things. So these are the basic three principles of transaction analysis. One more time to repeat: transaction analysis, it's a theory. It talks about the conversation that human beings can have with other human beings or with themselves. Transaction analysis also concentrates on the triggerers or the stimulus that can possibly lead us to negative outcomes. And transaction analysis believe there are three layers to every human being's psychological status, that is parent, adult, and child state. Okay, so let's go to the second part of the video and the third slide, that is Johari window. So Johari window, it's again a model, it's again a theory that actually concentrates and signifies on the concept of perception. Perception is when I ask you what is perception, perception is the idea, the belief, the interpretation that you have on a particular thing. We are people with comprehension, we are people with ideas, we are people with opinions. Every opinion of everybody must be valued, right? So perception, it's very important, because we perceive everything, we perceive anybody, though we know them partially, fully, or we don't know them at all, we just get into conclusions, we just get into interpretations. So that's how human minds are made of, that's how they are actually engineered. So perception is very important, and Johari window, it talks about the perceptual factor of human beings, where Johari window, it's again as a window, as a model, it has 4 window panes to it. That's a different thing altogether, but let us understand what is Johari window basically looks into. It looks into the trust factor. As I told, it looks into the perception factor, at the same time the trust factor. Suppose you want to win somebody's trust, because when somebody can give you their trust, that's the biggest gift that you can get. So trust is something that is very easy to be winning, that's very difficult to win, but very easy to lose. Okay, so that's how important trust is. So if you want to win somebody's trust, the Johari window tells there are 2 ways to win somebody's trust. The first one, revealing yourself to the other person, to the other set of people out there, like just being an open book, telling all the things that are required to be known to somebody, not hiding anything at all, you just being open there. If at all you can reveal about yourself to them, that's the way to win somebody's trust. And the second way to win trust is, once you reveal, that's not the end. On the basis of your revelation, if there is something that you can change and do better, the other person feels it, because we can't look into our loopholes, right? To myself I'm perfect, to yourself you're perfect. So it's only our blemishes are not seen by our eyes, but our blemishes can be easily figured out by somebody else. So likewise, when we talk about our ourselves, when we talk about it to others, probably our blemishes might be known. They might give us some suggestions or opinions. When you accept their opinions, when you accept their suggestions, when you accept their feedback, that's the second way of winning trust. Okay, so Johari window believes, if you want to win trust, first way is to reveal yourself, second way is to accept the feedback of people. That's how you can alter the perception, because if people trust you, they have better perception on you. So it's all about interlinked, it's like multi-wired. So that's about Johari window, like by and large. Let's go to the next slide where the model of Johari window is been mentioned. As I told, a Johari window, it's just like a model, just looks like a window, where the window is actually has four parts, four window panes. The first window pane is open or self area. The second window pane is blind self or blind spot, and the third one is hidden area, and the fourth one is unknown area. Okay, in all these four models there are two parties. The first party is yourself, you as an individual. The second party is the people who are around you. It can be a person around you or it can be people around you who are acquainted with you, let us understand that way, who know what you are, at least if not totally, but they know what you are. So in the first one, that is open or self area, your capabilities, your feelings, your attitude, your beliefs, let me pick any of this qualitative trait that as individuals that we choose to have, or we just have it because there is no other way to get away from it. So those things, those qualitative aspects about yourself is known to you. At the same time, it is known by the people around you. Okay, so open self or self area is that particular window pane which is known to you, which is known to others also. Okay, suppose I know that I sing good, I sing well, that's known to me, and when people know that I sing well and they appreciate me, they know it as well. So in that case, we both have this transparency about the singing thing, so I know it and they know it. That becomes the open area window pane. The second one is blind self or blind spot, as you can call it as that way also, where the information about yourself you don't know, but the people around you, they know it. Okay, as I told, our blemishes can't be known to us. At the same time, our capabilities sometimes might not be experienced or exposed by ourselves. So when I am doing something great but I couldn't figure out that I'm doing great, but people around me acknowledge it faster than what I do, what I can do to myself. So in blind area or blind spot, information about myself is not known to me at all. It's from me, it's I'm doing it, but I don't know what I'm doing because I've never paid attention to it, nor I felt it's a bigger thing ever. So it can be any way, but people around me, they acknowledge it, whether it is a good thing or a bad thing. So that is the blind area. The third window pane is about hidden area. Okay, or you can call it as facade also. So hidden area is that part of the information that is kept at dark or kept in the dark side. Probably my past experiences, probably a past incident, or probably one of my traits that I feel that I'm not okay to celebrate about it and tell it to the outer world, shout out to people. I don't feel like, because I'm not okay with it. I just keep it within me. It can be a secret only known to me, so, and not known to anybody. I keep that within me because I'm not very comfortable telling about it. I'm not very welcomed. I feel that I'm not welcomed if I tell this. Any sort of reluctance or apprehensions that as human beings that you can have, and that makes you retain the details about you, about that particular detail within you, and not known to people, you hide it, no? That's called as a hidden area. And the fourth one is unknown area. This fourth window pane of Johari window is about information about yourself you don't know. At the same time, the people around you don't know. It is that one, the darkest information or darkest spot or the block in you that is not experienced by you so far, nor experienced by the people out there, not seen by you nor by them, not heard by you nor by them. It's something that needs to be explored. Probably it can be explored someday in the future, or it might not be explored ever. Okay, so these are the four parts of the Johari window and the model of Johari window. That's all for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and share with your peer groups, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.